The vast corridors of the Galactic Council gleamed under a soft, sterile light, the polished floors reflecting the insignias of dozens of alien civilizations who had long considered themselves the true arbiters of the cosmos, and yet here they were, gathered to discuss what they unanimously agreed was a minor and insignificant threat: humanity. The reports from scouting vessels and distant probes had painted Earth as technologically primitive, culturally fragmented, and militarily inconsequential, a backwater world that could not possibly challenge the collective power of the Council, and so they laughed quietly among themselves, exchanging smug glances and underhanded comments about how amusing it would be to see humans attempt diplomacy, unaware that every casual dismissal, every condescending remark, only further concealed the reality of what they underestimated. Meanwhile, orbiting quietly in a seemingly innocuous position at the edge of the solar system, the Earth, Fleet remained a ghost in the system, a silent sentinel observed by none but themselves, its human crew preparing meticulously in ways that no alien calculation could predict, engineers fine-tuning plasma conduits, navigators plotting trajectories that accounted for the minute gravitational nuances of the asteroid belt, and scientists running simulations of alien weaponry based on intercepted schematics whose very existence the Council assumed they had destroyed centuries ago. On Earth, the political chambers hummed with a tension unseen by the outside world. Leaders from every nation gathered not in panic, but in the careful orchestration of a plan that had taken generations to perfect, a plan born not out of ambition but out of the simple, relentless drive of humanity to survive and protect their own, to assert that they were not a species to be mocked or dismissed. And as the first communication from the Council arrived, filled with patronizing instructions and veiled threats, the message went unanswered for hours, not out of hesitation but out of deliberate strategy, for the humans had learned that the appearance of inaction often caused the overconfident to lower their guard, a mistake that would soon cost them dearly. Aboard the flagship of the Council, a massive vessel bristling with armaments capable of obliterating moons, the alien commanders convened, each species convinced that their understanding of the humans was complete, their arrogance palpable. Their discussions focused on the theoretical ease of subduing the Earth with a limited strike to force compliance. Yet even as they debated, tiny anomalies began to appear. Satellites that should have been neutralized still transmitting encrypted signals, minor deviations in orbital trajectories suggesting unseen interventions, and energy readings that did not align with the Council's historical scans of the planet. Yet these were dismissed, rationalized away as sensor errors or background noise, because no one could imagine that a species they believed so primitive could achieve such feats without detection. Far from the Council's hubris, the first human pilots were already moving in synchrony with the precision of a single organism, each ship's movements coordinated through quantum-link relays, their systems shielded in ways that rendered alien scans almost useless, and as they approached the designated points in space, the humans did not attack, did not announce their presence. Instead, maintaining an almost meditative stillness, a calm that belied the storm they were preparing to unleash, and it was in this silence that the first ripple of doubt should have reached the Council. Yet in their certainty, they saw nothing, assumed nothing, and planned their first demonstration of dominance, unaware that every step they took brought them closer to a disaster that no calculation, no projection, no centuries of galactic experience had prepared them for humanity underestimated, at every turn, had woven contingencies into contingencies, strategies layered with deception and ingenuity that turned the Council's own assumptions against them. And when the moment arrived, when the first human maneuver disrupted the Council's meticulously choreographed operations with surgical precision, it was not a fleet of monstrous weapons that struck first, but a quiet, deliberate demonstration of control over the very environment the Council believed they dominated, sensors overridden, navigational data manipulated, communications jammed with signals that the aliens could not interpret. And one by one, the commanders realized with horror that the humans had not only predicted their actions but had accounted for their counters and the counters to those counters, revealing a level of foresight and tactical brilliance that shattered every preconceived notion of what Earth could produce. And as panic spread through the corridors of the flagship, the aliens scrambled to respond, their arrogance crumbling under the weight of undeniable evidence that every insult, every dismissal, every underestimation had been a fatal error, and the humans, operating from a position of complete composure, began their next phase, a series of calculated strikes that avoided direct confrontation yet rendered the Council's armaments ineffective. turning advanced alien technology against them not with brute force but with a cold efficiency of strategy honed over generations. A demonstration not of rage but of precise, disciplined power. And as the first alien vessels were incapacitated, drifting helplessly in space, the realization sank in across every species present. Humanity had been underestimated, and the consequences were catastrophic. Their disaster unfolding not as a sudden eruption of violence, but as the inevitable collapse of assumptions that had guided galactic policy for centuries. And in that moment, the Council understood that they were witnessing the birth of a new reality, one where the most dangerous force in the galaxy was not the largest fleet, the deadliest weapon, or the oldest empire, but the underestimated humans of Earth, whose patience, ingenuity, and unity had turned the tide of fate in a way no alien mind could have foreseen, setting the stage for a story that would echo across the stars. A story that began with mockery and ended in a revelation that disaster always follows when galactic powers underestimate humans. As the disabled alien vessels drifted silently through the void, their crews scrambling to regain control while alarms blared in alien tongues, humanity's fleet advanced with a measured precision that belied the enormity of what they were about to accomplish, each ship moving in perfect synchrony as if connected by a single mind. And on Earth, the command centers monitor the operation with calm intensity, leaders speaking in short, purposeful sentences, technicians adjusting energy flows, engineers rerouting power to shields and propulsion systems, and scientists analyzing alien responses in real time, noting how every countermeasure was anticipated and neutralized. And yet beyond the battlefield, the psychological impact on the galaxy began to ripple outward, news feeds from intercepted communication spreading the first whispers of disbelief. As star systems that had long scoffed at Earth began to question their assumptions, and within the Galactic Council, debates turned. Frantic, voices rising as species that once held confident consensus now argued over the inexplicable, over the reality that humans had not only survived contact, but had systematically dismantled what was considered the pinnacle of galactic military design. And still, the humans did not accelerate into destructive chaos, for their strategy was never about senseless annihilation but about control, about demonstrating that even the mightiest powers could be undone by intelligence, coordination, and a willingness to defy expectations. And aboard the lead human command vessel, Captain Elena Vargas observed her crew with quiet satisfaction, each officer executing complex maneuvers with instinctive efficiency, while the communications officer relayed intercepted alien transmissions in real time, showing confusion, fear, and the first traces of respect slowly creeping into alien tones. And as the humans activated a secondary phase of their plan, microdrones silently infiltrated alien systems, seeding disinformation, creating simulated failures, and manipulating sensors, turning the aliens' own technology against them without a single shot fired, a silent symphony of disruption that left the Council commanders increasingly desperate, calling for reinforcements, deploying contingency protocols, and attempting to regroup their scattered forces, only to find that humanity had already anticipated every possibility, a web of strategy so intricate that the aliens' panic became its own undoing. And as entire squadrons of alien craft drifted helplessly under human control, communications relayed across the galaxy a message of stark clarity. Humanity was not merely surviving. Humanity was asserting dominance with a calm, calculated authority that no civilization had previously experienced. And across the council chambers, the weight of underestimation settled like a leaden fog, as members realized that centuries of arrogance, of dismissive treaties, of assumptions that humans could never rise to the galactic stage, had left them dangerously unprepared. And the human fleet, sensing the shift in alien morale, did not press with brute force but instead executed precision strikes that incapacitated key command nodes, severed communication arrays, and disrupted weapon systems, demonstrating that the humans' advantage was not in sheer numbers or firepower but in their unmatched capacity for strategy, adaptation, and coordinated execution. While back on Earth, civilians went about their daily lives unaware of the precise, disciplined choreography occurring in the void above. Yet every calculation, every simulation, every choice made by human hands was designed to protect their home while simultaneously teaching the galaxy a lesson long overdue. And as alien leaders finally grasped the full magnitude of their misjudgment, the reality became undeniable. Every underestimated human had been a vector for disaster, every act of dismissal, every assumption of weakness, had directly contributed to the unraveling of galactic arrogance, and in the cold vacuum of space, amid the debris of what had once been a confident demonstration of superiority, humanity's restraint, discipline, and tactical brilliance shone brighter than any supernova, signaling not only the turning of a battle, but the beginning of a new era in which the true power of humans would no longer be ignored. And as the first reports of stunned alien survivors reached the council's archives, the lesson was unmistakable. When galactic powers underestimate humans, disaster follows, and humanity, patient, calculated, and unyielding, had authored that disaster with precision, leaving the galaxy forever altered, its powers humbled, and its understanding of Earth forever incomplete. With the initial shock of human capabilities still reverberating through the corridors of the Galactic Council, the humans moved from demonstration to strategic consolidation, their fleet splitting into precise formations to secure critical sectors of space while leaving visible evidence of their restraint to amplify the psychological impact on alien populations. And back on Earth, command centers coordinated supply lines, repaired ships, and managed communications with colonies scattered throughout the solar system, all while maintaining strict operational security, knowing that any leak of their true capabilities could trigger premature escalation or reckless retaliation from the broader galactic network, and the Council, still reeling from their catastrophic misjudgment, began to frantically reassign fleets, issue hastily convened commands, and attempt to assert authority over systems that had already begun questioning the wisdom of their leaders, yet every move they made was anticipated and mitigated by humans whose strategies were built on decades of modeling, historical analysis, and contingency planning that accounted not only for technological variables but also for the often unpredictable psychology of alien species, and as humans deployed long-range sensor arrays cloaked in electromagnetic invisibility. They observed alien fleets diverting resources into panic-driven maneuvers, their once calculated strikes now chaotic, their internal command chains fractured, while humanity quietly reinforced the orbital positions of outlying colonies, ensuring that every asset, from the smallest reconnaissance probe to the largest carrier, were prepared to operate independently yet cohesively, and the Council, desperate to regain the narrative, sent emissaries to attempt diplomatic engagement, only to be met with carefully crafted human responses that emphasized fairness, order, and restraint while subtly exposing the Council failures and miscalculations, highlighting treaties broken, weaknesses exploited, and the systemic underestimation of humanity that had led to this unraveling. And in the midst of these operations, Captain Elena Vargas oversaw a daring maneuver in which human ships infiltrated a contested nebula, mapping gravitational anomalies, neutralizing alien surveillance nodes, and silently positioning forces in a way that allowed them to observe and, if necessary, control vital jump points without alerting the Council, demonstrating a level of foresight and patience that contrasted sharply with alien panic. And as reports filtered back of alien worlds reconsidering their allegiances, human diplomats simultaneously engaged in subtle negotiations, offering protection, trade, and strategic alliances to those willing to recognize the new balance of power, turning what had begun as a defensive operation into a multidimensional campaign of influence, demonstrating that humanity's strength was not merely martial but also intellectual, strategic, and cultural. And as humans continued to methodically expose vulnerabilities in the Council's infrastructure, supply chains, and communication networks, entire systems began to question whether they had ever truly understood the species they had dismissed, with once confident admirals realizing too late that their calculations had never accounted for the depth of human ingenuity, the capacity for coordination across vast distances, and the relentless will to survive and protect. And while the Council scrambled to issue orders that could no longer be effectively enforced, humanity's fleet executed synchronized maneuvers that simultaneously contained alien aggression, safeguarded civilian populations, and demonstrated the futility of resistance. And in quiet moments aboard command vessels, officers reflected on how every victory, every strategic advantage gained, was achieved not through brute force but through patience, discipline, and an almost instinctive understanding of both physics and psychology, a combination that rendered the most sophisticated alien technology almost irrelevant. And as news of these operations spread through intercepted broadcasts, alien species across the galaxy began to whisper of Earth's unexpected prowess, their fear tempered by awe. And as humans prepared for the next phase, securing jump points, neutralizing hidden threats, and continuing to demonstrate the futility of underestimating them, the central lesson, resonated unmistakably. When galactic powers dismiss humanity, when they assume weakness without proof, disaster is inevitable, and as the galaxy slowly adjusted to this new reality, the humans remained calm, composed, and ready, their strategy unfolding like clockwork, their discipline and ingenuity ensuring that every underestimation turned into opportunity, and every miscalculation by the Council became a step toward a galaxy that would never again ignore Earth or its people. As human forces expanded their influence across contested sectors, the galaxy began to recognize a shift not only in military balance but in perception, for the very presence of Earth's fleet served as a living testament to the consequences of underestimation, and while alien civilizations scrambled to adapt, humans moved with deliberate clarity, coordinating orbital defenses, deploying stealth reconnaissance probes into previously uncontested regions, and establishing secure communication. Nodes that allowed instantaneous, encrypted coordination across light years, while on Earth, civilian populations remained unaware of the full scale of operations, going about daily life even as entire alien fleets reeled from disruptions orchestrated with surgical precision, and within the Galactic Council, desperation escalated into internecine blame, with factions accusing one another of negligence, faulty intelligence, and the hubris that had led to the human silent rise, yet each attempt at response, from tactical maneuvers to strategic proclamations, was anticipated and mitigated by human planners who had spent years modeling alien thought patterns, technology, and cultural tendencies, exploiting every predictable weakness without exposing a single vulnerability of their own. And on the front lines, Captain Elena Vargas and her command team executed a daring campaign in which human squadrons infiltrated a heavily fortified cluster of alien defense satellites, not to destroy them outright but to manipulate their systems, turning the Council's sensors against them, feeding false readings, scrambling targeting arrays, and creating confusion that spread like wildfire through enemy ranks, while simultaneously deploying humanitarian relief to nearby colonies previously threatened by alien oversight, demonstrating that humanity's strength lay not in ruthless conquest but in disciplined control and strategic advantage, and as alien commanders struggled to comprehend the precision and scope of human coordination, reports of diplomatic overtures from smaller civilizations began to arrive, some pledging allegiance or seeking protection, others cautiously observing, or signaling a rapid reordering of galactic politics driven by the humans' unexpected emergence. And as humanity secured these strategic positions, they prepared the next phase of engagement, controlled demonstrations of power designed to force the Council to reconsider its arrogance without precipitating wholesale destruction, showing that restraint could be as formidable a weapon as any missile or plasma cannon. And as the first calculated displays of force unfolded, entire alien fleets found their maneuvers anticipated, counters neutralized, and logistical support disrupted, revealing a depth of foresight, innovation, and adaptability that no Council strategist had ever predicted. While back on Earth, analysts and scientists monitored the outcomes with meticulous care, ready to adjust tactics instantly, demonstrating a level of operational flexibility that left alien observers both awed and terrified. And as whispers of Earth's precision, discipline, and restraint spread across the galaxy, the Council's members began to understand the truth they had long denied. Humanity was not merely another species, but a force of nature defined by intelligence, coordination, and relentless resolve, capable of turning every underestimation into opportunity. And as the humans advanced, securing vital jump points and neutralizing potential threats before they could materialize, the Council faced an unassailable reality, one that would force a reckoning, and in that moment, every alien who had laughed at Earth or dismissed its people confronted the undeniable lesson. Disaster is inevitable when galactic powers underestimate humans, and humanity, patient, disciplined, and unyielding, had only begun to reveal the extent of that disaster, setting the stage for confrontations that would redefine the balance of power, the rules of engagement, and the understanding of what it truly meant to provoke a species that had never been defeated, underestimated once, and now unstoppable. With the Council's forces reeling and their morale fractured, humanity transitioned from defensive maneuvers to decisive action, coordinating simultaneous strikes across multiple sectors while maintaining strict control to avoid unnecessary collateral damage. And aboard Earth's command vessels, Captain Elena Vargas oversaw a series of precision operations in which human pilots exploited weak points in alien fleet formations, severed supply lines, and used advanced electronic warfare to turn enemy targeting systems against themselves, creating the illusion of overwhelming force while the humans remained in control of every engagement. And on the ground, colonies across the solar system prepared to assist with resource allocation, rapid repair, and civilian evacuation procedures, all operating with a kind of synchronization that made alien strategists doubt their own senses, while back in the Galactic Council, debates devolved into chaos, leaders pointing fingers, accusing one another of misjudgment and incompetence, and yet every desperate plan they attempted was already accounted for in human contingency strategies, which included rapid redeployment of forces, diversionary tactics, and a preemptive neutralization of key council communications, demonstrating a mastery of both strategy and psychology that left the council scrambling to comprehend a reality they had never anticipated. And as human fleets moved to secure critical jump gates, cutting off council reinforcements and establishing choke points that allow controlled engagement on humanity's terms, smaller alien systems began to pledge loyalty or seek alliances with Earth, recognizing that the humans' combination of discipline, foresight, and tactical brilliance made resistance futile, while the Council, facing a rapidly deteriorating situation, attempted to issue ultimatums and deploy punitive strikes, only to find that their forces were isolated, misdirected, and systematically neutralized without direct confrontation, revealing the humans' unparalleled ability to control the battlefield, manipulate perception, and dictate the flow of conflict without unnecessary violence. And as this intricate campaign unfolded, Captain Vargas coordinated with scientists and engineers to launch a series of advanced probes capable of hacking alien command networks, subtly disrupting coordination, creating false orders, and feeding misinformation that caused entire fleets to hesitate or misfire, further amplifying the humans' tactical advantage. While back on Earth, political leaders prepared communications to the broader galaxy, emphasizing humanity's restraint, fairness, and willingness to engage diplomatically, framing every strategic victory as a measured demonstration of power rather than conquest, and this combination of military precision, diplomatic foresight, and psychological insight began to shift the perception of humanity across star systems, making it clear that the species once dismissed as weak was now the decisive factor in galactic affairs, and as the Council's remaining forces struggled to maintain cohesion, human fleets executed a series of synchronized maneuvers that simultaneously protected Allied systems, neutralized threats, and showcased the futility of resisting Earth's strategic ingenuity, leaving the Council with no viable options, no contingency unaccounted for, and no way to regain the initiative, while civilians and colonies witnessed the humans' calculated control over chaos, reinforcing the undeniable truth that the underestimated species was now the dominant force. And as alien leaders faced the consequences of centuries of hubris and underestimation, the full lesson became evident. Disaster is inevitable when galactic powers underestimate humans, and humanity, operating with discipline, intelligence, and patient precision, had not only demonstrated this reality, but had done so in a manner that ensured their ascendancy while maintaining moral authority, proving to the galaxy that the underestimated could rise, adapt, and ultimately command respect through skill, strategy, and unwavering resolve. As the humans advanced toward the heart of Council-controlled space, the true scale of their strategic mastery became undeniable. Fleets moving in seamless formation, sensors synchronized across light years, and every maneuver designed to anticipate, counter, and neutralize the Council's attempts at resistance, while on Earth, command centers coordinated with precision, monitoring every sector, calculating trajectories, and predicting alien responses with astonishing accuracy. And within the Council chambers, panic reached a fever pitch, factions blaming each other for the miscalculations that had allowed humanity to assert control, emissaries calling for immediate ceasefires, military leaders attempting desperate countermeasures, all only to find themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. And as humans approached critical command nodes, they executed surgical strikes that disabled communications, isolated fleets, and rendered the Council's most advanced weapon systems inert, demonstrating not brute force but precise control, while simultaneously providing safe corridors for alien civilians and non-combatants, reinforcing the human's image as disciplined, strategic, and morally calculated. And aboard the flagship, Captain Elena Vargas oversaw the integration of electronic warfare, stealth maneuvers, and psychological operations, feeding false data into alien networks, creating confusion, hesitation, and ultimately surrender of key positions without a single unnecessary casualty. And as smaller alien systems witnessed these outcomes, allegiance began to shift, colonies formerly under Council influence pledging support or seeking protection, recognizing that humanity's combination of foresight, restraint, and overwhelming capability was unmatched. And as the humans moved deeper into Council territory, they revealed hidden technological advantages long underestimated by galactic intelligence, including energy shielding capable of withstanding the Council's deadliest attacks, hyper-accurate targeting systems that neutralized threats before they could be deployed, and adaptive propulsion that allowed near-instantaneous repositioning across contested sectors, and every operation was executed with such fluid precision that Council commanders began to realize the depth of their misjudgment, their underestimation of Earth's capabilities, and the catastrophic consequences of assuming humans could be controlled, subjugated, or ignored while Earth-based analysts monitored alien communications in real time, predicting moves, identifying weaknesses, and orchestrating strikes that maximize strategic advantage while minimizing destruction. And as humans established control over critical jump points, cut off supply lines, and neutralized isolated fleets, the Council had no choice but to attempt direct negotiation, only to find that humanity dictated the terms, framing every engagement as a test of competence, respect, and strategic understanding, leaving the Council humbled, demoralized, and forced to recognize the futility of resistance. And as Captain Vargas coordinated the final phase of human operations, the culmination of decades of planning and foresight, alien systems witnessed humanity's mastery of both technology and strategy, a demonstration so overwhelming that entire fleets surrendered preemptively. Civilians hailed their new protectors, and the Council's once unquestioned authority crumbled under the weight of reality. And in the quiet moments between operations, human leaders reflected not on conquest but on responsibility, ensuring that every action reinforced the message that underestimation would no longer be tolerated, that intelligence, discipline, and unity could triumph over arrogance. And as the galaxy absorbed the full impact of these events, one lesson rang clear across all stars. Disaster is inevitable when galactic powers underestimate humans, and humanity, with patience, precision, and unwavering resolve, had authored catastrophe not through anger or impulse, but through mastery, strategy, and foresight, proving once and for all that the underestimated species could not only survive but dominate, reshape the galaxy, and demand respect on terms set entirely by their own design. With the Galactic Council fully destabilized and alien fleets either neutralized, surrendering, or defecting to humanity's side, the final phase of Earth's strategy unfolded, not as a reckless campaign of destruction, but as a deliberate orchestration of control, diplomacy, and demonstration of absolute capability. And aboard the lead command vessel, Captain Elena Vargas coordinated the deployment of advanced systems designed to secure key communication hubs, stabilize contested sectors, and neutralize the Council's remaining strategic assets without causing unnecessary harm, while human diplomats simultaneously extended offers of protection, trade, and alliance to those alien civilizations willing to embrace the new order, framing humanity's ascendancy as a consequence not of vengeance but of careful, disciplined foresight. And as fleets maneuvered with flawless synchronization, deploying stealth drones, adaptive shielding, and precision energy strikes to disable the Council's remaining defenses, alien leaders began to confront the magnitude of their errors, realizing that centuries of arrogance, dismissal, and underestimation had culminated in a disaster for which recovery was uncertain. And on worlds once oppressed or overlooked by Council rule, humans were hailed not only as protectors but as a force capable of enforcing order, preserving lives, and demonstrating the consequences of hubris. While back on Earth, leaders reflected on the unprecedented achievement, the orchestration of a galaxy-wide shift in power accomplished without the wanton destruction that might have accompanied less disciplined species. And as humanity's influence solidified, the Council convened its final emergency session, not to assert authority but to acknowledge the reality they had long denied, issuing statements that conceded their miscalculations, restructured their governance in recognition of Earth's new position, and extended tentative overtures for cooperation under terms dictated by humans. And throughout the galaxy, the lesson spread rapidly, echoing in corridors of power, across space lanes, and among species that had once scoffed at Earth, that the underestimated could rise, adapt, and redefine the rules of engagement with patience, intelligence, and unity, and as human fleets withdrew from direct conflict, leaving stabilized sectors in capable hands while maintaining strategic oversight. The full consequences of the Council's underestimation became undeniable. Civilizations formerly confident in their superiority now navigated a galaxy in which humanity's tactical brilliance, technological mastery, and disciplined strategy could not be ignored, and as historians, analysts, and strategists documented the events for generations to come, the record was clear, the narrative undeniable, and the moral unambiguous. Disaster is inevitable when galactic powers underestimate humans, and Earth, having orchestrated the most precise, disciplined, and effective campaign in recorded history, had proven that underestimation is not merely dangerous but fatal, that restraint paired with intelligence can overcome any arrogance, and that a species once dismissed as weak could rise, dominate, protect, and command respect across the stars, leaving a legacy that would forever alter the course of galactic civilization and ensure that humanity's reputation as a force of unparalleled ingenuity, discipline, and resilience would never again be questioned or underestimated.